Peter's not home right now if you'd like to leave a message. Here's a look at the new Hasbro Spider-Man Far From Home Concept Series Spider-Man. Peter Parker glides through the sky with the aid of his winged suit. I suggest the best thing to do for starting off this review is taking the Ultra Megatron 5000. That's the name it goes by. Sometimes it goes by UM, sort of just hyphenating, or I guess turning that into initials. I don't personally think UM's a great nickname. I mean, who really wants to call anybody UM? Hey, UM. Somebody might just say, yes, you called. According to the Ultra Megatron 5000, pending whatever nickname it wants to go by, the figure of Spider-Man stands 5.4 inches in height. FYI, by the way, I found these at Toys R Us. I'm still strangely perplexed that I haven't been able to find these at Walmart. Walmart just doesn't seem to want to carry them so far, but I did find them at Toys R Us. Pursuing with the rest and finishing the rest of the measurements, you're looking at the figure standing 13.7 centimeters tall. Yes, I don't know why I have not been able to find these at my local Walmart. Toys R Us, though, did stock them, and I might also at a very small amount. There really wasn't a small shelf space or shelf footprint in Toys R Us. I actually almost even walked right by them. They were only literally just one packaging wide, and then of course the four figures in this set so far were all kind of behind one another. So I don't really know why Toys R Us wouldn't have put them on the end caps or end displays of your shelves. Yes, I used to work in retail stores. So yeah, here we have Concept Series Spider-Man. Usually Concept, the name will tell you. It's a design for a character that was originally proposed for the idea of that character and then initially scrapped. Here we have Spider-Man, if we are to believe based on the name that it's called Concept Series, maybe this is what we would have gotten for a Spider-Man in the sequel Spider-Man film. If that really is the case, not a whole lot has changed. Yes, I know there's a big bulky backpack on the back. We'll talk about that in a second. But really not much has changed other than the introduction of blue. It seems like blue has taken the place of black, and all the things that were outlined in black instead now are outlined in almost this kind of pulsating light blue color. So thankful that this wasn't what we got for the Spider-Man costume. Instead, basically, it's not that far off what we got from the Homecoming suit. Other than the noted areas that are the blue are now much notably noticed as being dark black. Kind of digging the costume colors. It reminds me of classic Spider-Man back in the day. And of course, I guess he would have had webbed wings in that point as well. But I guess they kind of gave you webbed wings. Yes, we'll talk about the eyesore in the room in a second. Overall, I guess the starting points, talking about the points of the figure, I think the head sculpt and actually rather all the body is really good. Must say I'm really impressed with this. Yes, I know there's of course the obvious, the sense that the legs, if you sense strongly that the legs won't move much more than what you're currently seeing in this review, call yourself a Jedi. That's absolutely correct. That's as much as you're going to be getting from these basic class figures. Struggling as I am to try to get the legs to split, I could do that till the cows come home. The legs are not going to split. But really, like from the waist up, and actually just, again, sculpt-wise, that's a pretty good-looking Spider-Man. Look at the head sculpt, which again doesn't really look too much different from Homecoming Spider-Man. The webbing is there. I'm glad that they didn't opt to fill that webbing in with black. I think that would have made the figure already kind of busy, even more busy with muddy black lines. And of course, quality control gets thrown out the window. You might as well just throw that into a dumpster fire, because if you're going to be adding black stripes, I think that would be very much an easy contender for something that would have quality problems with the way the paint job was done. So instead, they just let the sculpt do the talking. And this reviewer's doing the talking, thinking that that's a pretty good idea. Good job that they didn't actually put in all those black lines. I think that would have just messed up this figure horrendously. What ultimately sort of messes up the figure, I suppose, yes, is the big elephant in the room, the big backpack located on Peter's back. Now, clearly you can see, like, the way it's been clamped onto its torso, it's just the sculpt, guys. Don't buy into the idea that this backpack is removable. It's not. It's, well, you could be doing this till the cows come home. You'll be getting very, very tired, and ultimately you'll probably break the figure in the process. Despite for the fact that it does look like it clamps onto Peter's back, it's not something that can be removable. It's all really perplexing to me, because really they could have made the backpack, if it's a mechanical issue, where a lot of what is going on is inside Peter's torso, Spider-Man's torso, and not so much in the back. Maybe more of the mechanisms are right here. I would have been perfectly content if they brought the backpack out and incorporated all of that into the back, where you could have actually taken it off. I mean, it's not terrible. I mean, obviously with the wings out, we can activate that right away, seeing as I already had Butterfingers and accidentally hit it. You just press the button on the top, and there you go. Want to see that again? Of course. There you go. Now, sometimes it does activate one over the other, right there. Sometimes if you press it down all the way, it releases both. I guess that is a clever little gimmick. I don't know why Peter would necessarily only want to extend out one wing, but he does have the option if you wanted to. Again, it doesn't look terrible on the back, on the front, although it does sort of look like a lace. You know, like when you go to grandmother's house, or, you know, an older person's house, they always have like tablecloths. Everything in their house looks like this. They have little cozies that they put their kettles on. They have little things for their planters to go on. And even like their tablecloths have all of this as well. I can't help but look at that and think that I'm looking at lace rather than webbing. It's a weird looking webbing. And maybe it's just the fact that it sticks so much out instead of looking like it would naturally add to Peter's wings. I guess one workaround to that is you can bring Peter's... keep wanting to call him Peter. I really should call him Spider-Man. You could bring Spider-Man's arms out, sort of to give you the somewhat misled feelings that, of course, those are his wings sticking out from under his arms, but we know otherwise. We know that that's not the case at all. Something about the webbing, I think, is really what's throwing me off. It ultimately does make it look like I'm visiting Grandma's house, and I'm looking around. Every planter in the house has one of these little lace cozies underneath. I think that's what they call them, cozies. Again, I don't know why the backpack couldn't have been removed. If, again, you're going to use the argument that the hinge or the mechanisms are further in, like maybe it takes up this much space, then albeit take the backpack and make it larger, have it stick out a little bit further, and give me the means to take this off. I'm really overly dissecting something that ultimately at the end of the day is just really a kid's toy. But again, as a reviewer, it's these things, these little points that I do want to mention. Speaking of mentioning, I am really actually nicely surprised to find that the emblem here, the spider emblem, is raised and not simply just painted in place. Okay, so let's have a look at this figure's articulation. Now his head rotates all the way around, it hinges up and down, and I guess you could get the pose with the head. We'll just call it that from now on. The arms hinge outward, so thank goodness for that. Remember back in the day when Spider-Man figures and Iron Man figures used to have full posability? Remember those days? Oh, it doesn't exist anymore. No, they want to limit that. The elbows do bend, we'll give it that. They swivel back and forth. Sadly, he doesn't have any swiveling in the hands, but I guess their mindset is you're going to be just rotating the arms. That's going to pull off most of the accomplished look of swiveling the wrists as well. As for waist articulation, crunching, it's not going to happen. Why you bother looking for that? And then the legs, as we've already discussed, hinge back and forth. I guess there is the stopping square butt syndrome. Pending, of course, that getting trademarked. The butt, unfortunately, does prevent the legs from going a little bit further back. Now, they're not fully stopping butt stops. The legs do technically hinge further back if you wanted them to. They go to about there. So if you want to have kind of Peter looking like he's gliding, he's not going to glide with straight legs. That's going to look a little awkward. So you can bring the legs a little bit back as well. Obviously, the wings will be a bit of a hindrance for the legs coming out because they're going to be these big lace stopping points, little kettle cozies. And there, in a nutshell, is Spider-Man. Not really a bad figure, all honestly speaking. One of the big other negatives I can make, other than the fact that the back wing backpack could not be removable, is for obvious reasons, as you could probably guess it. Also, by the way, I'm leaning the figure forward. It does cause the figure to have somewhat some backpack back heaviness, so you may have the figure falling over from time to time. Unless you can get yourself a display stand, which, FYI, wrapping up this review, I just want to let you guys know, Spider-Man does have peg holes on the undersides of his feet. Well done. Tea Kettle Cozy Spider-Man, or as he's referred to on the packaging as Concept Series Spider-Man, is not really a bad pickup at all. Sure, he doesn't look like this in the movie, not that I'm aware of at least. Anybody, of course, who has seen the movie and watched it repeatedly on Blu-ray in the future, hello time traveler, by the way, will probably tell me that he has this costume in the first 15 minutes of the movie. That's fantastic. Here in present time, I'm a present time jumper myself, so I'm not jumping anywhere. I'm basically just living for the now. Living in the now, I can tell you, based on the trailer, I haven't seen this costume. Obviously, for it being Concept Series, I haven't seen the costume either. As for the backpack, I know I've beaten this dead horse repeatedly. Oh, that's such a horrible saying. The Spider-Man figure, yes, does have a backpack. I want to call it a knapsack, but I know I would get hate for that. It's a backpack with having somewhat lace-looking doily wings. The webbing does look a little awkward. I like the fact that, whether intentional or not, the wings do project out at different times. You don't have to project them or shoot them out, hinge them out, I don't know. But you can hinge them out either on their own or together, forever, like friends should be. A good looking figure, like I said, they're not overly expensive either. That's one good thing. These figures are about $12 at Toys R Us. So if you guys are interested in picking up these figures for yourself, I'm not necessarily advocating that you have to go to Toys R Us, but that's the only place here in Canada I've been able to find them. Walmart? Pfft, nothing. Nothing whatsoever. I don't know why Walmart isn't carrying them. Instead, they're carrying still Into the Spider-Verse figures. I guess people are still interested Into the Spider-Verse figures. I guess. Sure. Okay. But in the meantime, nothing in the way of Spider-Man Far From Home figures. So if you guys are interested in picking these ones up for yourself, maybe based on this review, maybe you might even pass based on this review. Either way, glad I could help. Today we were having a look at the Hasbro Spider-Man Concept Series. This was T. Cozy Doyle. No, that's not really quite his name. Concept Series Spider-Man. We won't make fun anymore of his wings. It does look like a retirement home, though. Nothing against retirement homes. I love retirement homes. And the way I am aging, progressively it seems, every single year, eventually I'm going to end up in a retirement home as well. Maybe I'll even do reviewing from the retirement home. I don't know. I'm rambling on about becoming old. I'm getting old. Either way, guys, if you haven't done so already, make sure you hit that little subscribe button square that's in the bottom right-hand corner of this video, and stay tuned. I don't want to tip my hat already, but we are also going to have a look at the rest of the first wave of Spider-Man Far From Home toys. Well played, reviewer. Well played. Thank you very much. Also, make sure as well, above and beyond hitting that little subscribe button down below, this is apparently crucial. YouTube not being happy enough with that little subscribe being activated, you also have to make sure you turn on your bell notifications to maximum strength. Maximum strength isn't the option, but make sure you turn on your full notifications to be notified when new videos are coming onto this channel. Thanks for watching, guys, and I'll see you guys next time.